Today, on episode 56 of Rail Talk, Jon and I play the not-quite-newlywed game. We talk about a great weekend of action on the track at Saratoga, great sale up at Fasig-Tipton. I'm Joe Bianca. I'm an ownership advisor at Point Thoroughbreds. And Jon, we've reached and approached some big milestones on this show just over a year. We're past 2 million views on YouTube, which thank you so much to the subscribers. Yeah, I can't even count that high. So appreciate everyone for tuning in all along the way, getting your friends and your family to tune in. And on that note, we're approaching 10,000 subscribers, which is another major milestone. We're at 5,000, I feel like just like 2 months ago, maybe. Yep. So the growth is exponential, and we couldn't do it without you guys tuning in and getting all your people to tune in. And if they haven't subscribed yet, or if you haven't subscribed yet, it's very easy to do on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Audible. We're everywhere. You'll get alerted as soon as new episodes come out. So please do that if you haven't done so. And for all of you that have tuned in all along the way, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Jonathan Green, general manager at DJ Stable. Joe, it's tough to top those kind of numbers. The only thing I would say is if we figure out who exactly is our 10,000th subscriber, we'll send them a couple of DJ Stable hats, fresh off the printers. Anyway, Jonathan Green, general manager at DJ Stable. Joe, I can't get over how many freaking people were at Fasig-Tipton sale this past week. Not only for the select sale, but the open New York bred sale as well. We'll talk about that, later on. But kudos to Fasig and Boyd Browning and Anna Seitz and their team for putting on just a tremendous show.
Rail Talk is sponsored by TaylorMade. Congratulations to TaylorMade. A bunch of great results last week at the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale. And this past week, at the New York bred sale. Really well done in terms of their stallions as well. Not This Time colt that Jon and DJ Stable picked up. Obviously, we know Not This Time is one of the top 5 stallions in America right now. That's why he had the $3.4 million topper at the select sale. And then we had the Tacitus colt that West Point picked up yesterday, hip 516. Tacitus, I think, is going to be one of those explosive stallions that when he starts to get going, people are going to be like, why didn't we get in on him at that stud fee? Son of Tappet, out of a grade 1 winner that was a multi-millionaire on the racetrack. Like, I get that he never had that one huge like Breeders' Cup type win, but he showed up in so many big races and he's bred like blue blood breeding. So I think, if you can get down on him at a relatively reasonable price, you should do it, because he's one of the ones that I project when the horses are on the track to really start exploding, especially as they start to get to go 2 turns and longer. So shout out to TaylorMade. It's an absolutely unbelievable operation that treats all of their clients like their family, treats every horse like it's the most important horse in the sale or on the farm. They'll do it for you. They've done it for Jon and Len and DJ Stable. So again, congratulations to the Taylor family and everybody at TaylorMade for another successful sale. And I know you guys are going to turn it around real quick for Keeneland in September. I expect TaylorMade to be the leading consignor at that sale as well. They just are the best in the business at what they do, and it's proven out every single sale and also on the racetrack. It's a really, really nice weekend of racing on the track. Great weekend for the home teams. Carson's run in the Saratoga Derby, who we'll talk about in a little bit, like what a magical horse he's been. But we got to lead with the Rail Talk family horse, Sandman. Yep. Man, that was great. So I was away on my bachelor party weekend, sitting by the pool with my boys, and I say, hey, company I work for and my buddy have a $1.2 million horse that's about to run at Saratoga. And they all got in on it. I streamed it for all of them, and they really got into it. And it was just such an awesome way to start the day, because we were starting a day at like 12:30, as you would imagine, on a bachelor party weekend. But it was, I was expecting a big move forward from him after his debut. His debut was like, he just ran too fast, too early, and it's hard to go 21-4 and keep going as a first-time starter, especially when you're chasing, you're not on the lead. I was hoping for him to be able to settle back, make one run. That's exactly what he did. It was a good ride by Dylan Davis, kept him on the inside, and he looked loaded the whole way around the turn, slipped through on the inside of Innovator, turning for home. And Innovator, I think, is a really nice horse, too. Yep. Just edged away professionally in the stretch, didn't drift out or in, didn't really need the stick too many times. And, I think the sky is the limit now, Jon. He got an 81 buyer, like the Breeders' Cup juvenile buyer par has got to be like in the 90s, so he doesn't need to, jump up that far. Sounds like, and Jon, maybe you can fill the audience in if any of this is wrong. It sounds like he wants to go 2 turns with him next time out. So he wants to go in the Iroquois at Churchill, and then maybe the Breeders' Futurity, and then the Breeders' Cup. But what an exciting thing to even talk about for a horse that's so near and dear to so many of us and so many of the people we care about.
Well, Joe, and back up a little bit on the story. Of obviously him winning impressively is important, and running an 81 buyer when the same day at the Saratoga Special was run, which is the 6.5 furlong stake race for 2-year-old colts. Showcase won that as Son of Uncle Mo and ran a 79 buyer, 79-81, pretty close, but I really like the way that Sandman did it. He sat in a pocket, he got a little dirt in his face, didn't bother him. Dylan Davis, who had a weekend. I mean, he had a weekend if he had a day. He really had a phenomenal showing. Handled the horse very well, kept him on the rail. When the hole opened up, he kind of smooched him a little bit. I think he hit him on the shoulder just to get him through that. And then it was just the two of them, going nip and tuck until finally we put the horse away and ran a huge race. I thought it looked like at the end he had his ears pricked. He was doing it all the right way, and that's what you want to see. Second or third time out is a horse getting some confidence, getting some professionalism, and hitting holes and doing it the right way. So it was really, really cool. The pre-story to all that is what a lot of people don't realize, Joe, and again, we should take full credit for this, is that if you and I weren't doing this show together, Sandman would not be in either of our colors, quite frankly. He'd be in somebody else's barn. And the reason why I say that is because you and I did the show the morning of the sale. Sandman had just galloped a couple days prior and was on a couple of people's radar, was certainly on ours. And we sat there to do the pre-show at Mark Cassie's farm. And my dad was there, and you and I were there, and Terry Finley was there. And we all compared notes and said, who's your top colt? Who's your top colt? Maybe we should get together on this instead of bidding against each other and form an alliance, i.e. not the Avengers, but form an alliance together and buy this horse. And to my surprise, not only were we able to buy the horse, but Terry actually brought in Vinny Viola, who, people say he's had a little experience campaigning some good colts too. Yeah.
No, he's had quite a few. And that was like, you're right. It came together so beautifully, and I'm not going to take all the credit for it, but if we are lucky enough to win the Kentucky Derby next year, I'm elbowing you out of the way. I'm elbowing Terry out of the way. I'm elbowing Vinny out of the way.
You can try. You can certainly try.
I kid, of course, but no, it is so exciting. Just like the prospect of him, and we talked about this after we bought the horse. Like, the great thing about him is that he had just galloped.
Yeah.
So you knew there was a lot more development still to come with him, and that still seems to be the case. Like, he looks for all the world like a 2-turn horse. It's just a very easy strider. Jason Blewett called him a smooth operator, and I think that's a good way to describe him, because he is. Like, he just does everything very easily, gets pretty high off the ground. It was a great still shot of him when in that race, way off the ground, and he's beautiful too. That's the other thing. Like, if you ever see him up close, he's gorgeous. You don't see grays that have like the big white blaze down the middle of their face. Like, he's so unique looking. He's so unique acting for a Tapit, because he's as pleasant as the day is long, and it's very, very rare to find that from that sire line.
Yep.
But he's one of a kind. He's special. Mark Cassie had a great quote. He said Gary Barber was by the barn, and he was like, "Who's that?"
Right.
Yeah. He's like, he's beautiful. Yeah. And Mark goes, that's what $1.2 million gets you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And it was great to see the horse, hit the wire first. It gives you a lot of enthusiasm, and it lets you dream. And you mentioned the Iroquois is probably the next race. That's in 6 weeks. And then because of a scheduling, glitch, basically, I'm calling it a glitch. But Churchill Downs usually runs at a different time, and they gave additional dates to Kentucky Downs because Churchill Downs is not offering turf racing currently. So they granted Kentucky Downs an extra couple of days. So, Joe, what that means is instead of the Iroquois being 4 weeks before the Breeders' Futurity, it's actually only 3 weeks. So we're going to run in the Iroquois, and depending on how he comes out of it, if he comes out of it well, then I would expect that would be the next stop for him would be Keeneland. If he comes out of it and maybe he just put in too hard of a run or may need a little bit of time, hopefully we can, we'll skip the Breeders' Futurity and just go right out west. And hopefully, go. I'm not even going to say the name of the name of the race. We're just going to say it's the first Friday of November, out in.
Too late. I already said it.
Out in Del Mar. But people want to know. People have stopped me on the street and asked me about Sandman. And the very next question is, when are we getting some shirts? So, I've been towing the line. I've been saying he's got to get black type before he gets any kind of shirt, memorabilia deals going on. But Joe, speaking of deals, rumor has it that there's a couple of farms in Kentucky that have been sniffing around and talking a little bit about Sandman and his potential, golden sperm down the road.
Oh my God! Well, the only golden sperm on this show is usually,
Yeah.
No, I was talking about me. Talking about you.
The silver spoon and the golden spermer. Yes. I got since it's the Olympics, I got and the bronze feet. I got the full complement of medals going on here, Joe.
Oh, it's like the shittiest superheroes you've ever heard.
Still not
the golden sperm.
Still not as bad as Aquaman.
The silver spoon.
Aquaman's still below them, though.
The new Avengers, the golden sperm, the silver spoon. I gotta. Oh, this is getting gross. But I gotta say, don't start talking about stallion deals, please.
No,
I know I talked about the Derby, but can we take it one race at a time? It's hard. See, that's the thing. That's what's so hard is I covering racing for such a long time, I didn't realize how hard it is not to get over your skis when a horse has a big race. And we, at West Point, we try to temper ourselves a lot. When we have a really exciting horse, let's not go crazy. Let's not book 8 dates for him going forward to lead up to the Breeders' Cup or the Derby or whatever it is. But no, he's obviously a great horse to dream about, and he can be the people's horse, for all the reasons that I mentioned.
Yep.
And I'm glad that he's become so popular, and hopefully he only becomes more so as his accomplishments pile up.
And Joe, that was, for you guys, humbly, I think that was the second most important race that you guys won over the weekend. Carson's Run ran a huge race in the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby. And I know that was an emotional winner's circle. And why don't you go into detail on that since it's your horse?
Yeah, no, well, I'm sure most people are familiar with the origin story for his name. Wade Yost, who is a West Point partner. He was an old classmate of Terry's at West Point. He has a son, Carson Yost, who has the same degenerative disease that Cody Dorman had. And, he's in his 30s. He's in a wheelchair. He doesn't communicate. And Wade has done Wade and the Yost family have obviously done an unbelievable job taking care of him and making him part of the family. And Wade wanted to honor him in a way because Carson's brothers and sisters are all great athletes. Mm-hmm. He wanted something to be associated with Carson that was athletic. So we wanted to name the horse Carson's Run. We picked this horse, and wouldn't you know it, he becomes a multiple Grade 1 winner. And it's been so cool this year in particular because, he did win the summer as a 2-year-old, and then he was kind of disappointing in the Breeders' Cup, and then he was a little bit disappointing, had a weird race in the Woodhaven to start the year. And then his last 2 races in the Tail of the Cat and the Saratoga Derby have just been powerhouse performances. And he honestly was a big overlay in both of those races. Usually the West Point horses, they're not for betting because the West Point partners, God love them, their enthusiasm, they bet hard, and that's what they should do. But as a neutral bettor, they're typically not the horses I look to bet. But Carson's Run was 7-2 in the Tail of the Cat as a Grade 1 winner. And he was 5-1 on Sunday in the Saratoga Derby. I get why Legend of Time was favored, but was he really supposed to be 5 times the price of Legend of Time? To me, that made no sense. I did have a couple of bucks on him, but it was just, he had that powerful stretch kick. And who would have thought horse by Cupid out of a Henny Hughes mare is a multiple Grade 1 winning turf horse. And the other thing too, John, that I really liked about this race is he stretched out. He had never won beyond a mile and a 16th, never run beyond a mile and a 16th before. And the Clements were considering running him in the Hall of Fame, going a mile. He was doing so well. They were like, let's go for the big money and the $1 million Saratoga Derby. And he proved that distance is no problem. So that opens up all sorts of doors for him too going forward, going 1.25 miles and maybe 1.25 miles and up. So well, how could he's the perfect horse that's like an overachiever, and he was 170K at OBS. So you don't have to spend, obviously we spent the big bucks to get Sandman, and, we're all hoping for the best for him, but you don't have to spend $1 million. These horses are out there. You got to have the right people. Shout out to Randy Miles and his consignment. He was the one that said, this, you got to take a look at this horse. We got another one from him this Saturday in Moment's Notice, who's a 2-year-old we really like. But yeah, you just got to do some digging. Those horses are out there, and man, what a great story. Also, Steve Bushy, who is the one of the partners, the outside partners on the horse, he lost his wife earlier this year, sadly, and that was another reason that it was very emotional in the winner's circle. Like that win was for so many people, beyond just the people who had an actual equity stake in the horse. Another one who's the people's horse, and I appreciate you bringing it up because that was special. I wish I was there, but that was special.
You love to hear stories like that, not only about the people, but look, the thing about Carson's run, and again, this is from an outsider looking in. I know you said he ran a disappointing race in the Breeders' Cup Turf and a disappointing race in the Woodhaven. He lost the Breeders' Cup Turf, running in the post 11 of 11, he lost by 3 lengths. And then in the Woodhaven, coming off a layoff, he only lost by 4 lengths, and he had all kinds of traffic problems. So, so you can kind of, again, in hindsight, you can draw lines through them. But the Tail of the Cat was impressive, and you wonder, you say, well, what kind of group was in there? It doesn't matter because he won, and he won impressively. And now to win a Grade 1 again, as a 2-year-old and as a 3-year-old, you got to love his future as far as racing. And the nice thing about it is, again, no offense to Cupid, because I know he's your favorite stallion. But, you don't have to worry about building a stallion resume for this horse. You can just go with wherever the horse's opportunities avail themselves. And to be able to go this far, 1 mile and 3/16, and show that he has that kick at the end to be able to do it was really, really cool. And don't forget, you beat a couple of horses in there. Legend of Time, I think the reason why he was the overwhelming favorite had more to do with the connections, Godolphin and Charles Appleby, than anything else. But he had run a couple of credible races here in the States. Diego Velasquez had, ran some great races overseas. I mean, it was a really good, solid, race that he put in, and had to be rescheduled. So, again, I give my hats off to the training ability of the Clement team, because it's really difficult to get a horse ready for a Saturday and then not really know if they were going to run that Saturday or not, ultimately having it get pushed off a week. So then you go, well, what do we do? Do we put a maintenance breeze into them? Do we just kind of keep them in bubble wrap? It's not an easy thing. And to be able to go 1 mile and 3/16 on top of that, it's a really difficult, job that they did. So I give all give credit to everyone involved. There was definitely some human reasons why the horse won. Emotional reasons, I guess, is the reason why I was looking for. And let's just take a sidebar on Dylan Davis, who, Dylan has won a bunch of good races, including, Sandman and now Carson's run. And he won another graded stake race that same day. Here's a guy who's not an Ortiz. He's not Rosario. He's not Pratt. He's not any of these big name, top riders that are currently hanging their talents at Saratoga, and all he's doing is winning at a 20% clip this meet.
Yeah, he's had a great meet. Tyler Gaffleone's had a great meet.
Yep.
I always love at Saratoga when it's not just the household names. Not that these guys, not that Tyler or Dylan are obscure names, but just relatively speaking, compared to like the Eclipse Award winning riders, it's such a competitive jockey colony that I love to see guys step up, get opportunities. You know what else is a really good meet? Ricardo Santana.
Yeah.
He's had like 16, 17 winners, and like just, especially like compared to the amounts that the other guys are getting, right. He has made the most, and he goes there to work.
Yeah.
There are certain, I'm not going to name any names, but there are certain Kentucky riders that go up there for a semi-vacation. Yep. They ride, enough horses to keep their jock's license up in Saratoga, but they're mostly there to chill, which whatever, God bless. Right. Ricardo Santana, Tyler Gaffleone, they go up there to work, and the results have proven it.
Yep. And one more shout out. How about our man Mark Cassie, who has 25 2-year-old winners this year.
Mm.
Let that sink in. 25 2-year-old winners, and I think like a third of them are at Saratoga. And he won a couple more over the weekend, obviously with Sandman, but there were others. I mean, the guy is not known for being a juvenile, trainer, right? If I said to you, who are the top, 2-year-old trainers in the country, I don't think Cassie's name would necessarily come up in the top 10 or 15. There'd be a lot more guys that, the opening day, the first time a horse runs, that's their Super Bowl, that's their Derby. And Mark doesn't train that way. So to have over 24 2-year-old winners already, and we're in the middle of August, is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, no, he's had a tremendous season so far, and I think there's probably several good babies still to be unveiled. So yeah, it's shout out to Mark and the Cassie team. They do an unbelievable job. Rail Talk is sponsored by Fasig-Tipton. What a whirlwind week and a half it's been for the folks at Fasig-Tipton. Record-breaking sales at the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Select Sale, and then a smashing success this week, yesterday and Sunday at the New York Bred Yearling Sale. All told, the summer sales grossed over $100 million in sales for the first time. So I'd say they're doing something right up there at Fasig-Tipton and Saratoga. And congratulations to Boyd and Anna and the whole team at Fasig for putting on 2 tremendous shows. Want to pop the New York Bred Sale real quick because West Point picked up 4 horses at the sale. Hips 310, 377, 475, and 516. 310 is an Oscar Performance colt. 377 is an Instagram filly. 475 is a Code of Honor colt, and 516 is a colt by Tacitus, tailor-made stallion. So we're really excited for all 4 of them. I think in particular 310 and 475, John let me in that they were interested in those horses too. So very, very excited. A lot of sharp people on the same horses. So West Point partners that are listening, ping your rep. It might happen to be me if you're interested in any of those horses, because we got some real nice ones. The great thing about the New York Bred Sale, you don't have to spend $5 million. Like the prices were good, but you don't have to break the bank. And that New York Bred program gets better and better each year. So these are my kind of meat and potatoes horses. But John, there's so much to find up at Saratoga at Fasig. Tell us a little bit about the numbers from this summer.
Well, you mentioned over $100 million worth of horses changed hands, at the collective 4 days of sales over the past week or so. But let's stick specifically with the recently concluded New York Bred Sale. Joe, I don't know if you realize this, but 182 yearlings were sold for just over $19 million. That means the average from this year to last year was up over 10%, and the median rose 15%, which to me, the median, it means more because you take out the top, you take out the bottom numbers, and that's really everything else. So to me, that's really the driving number when it comes to math. But you mentioned a couple of horses. We were actually the direct underbidder on that Code of Honor. I wish we had known we could have joined forces again like we did on the Sandman. But he was a really nice colt. And 310, the only reason why we didn't go higher on that colt was because there were a lot more horses that we thought we were going to have a shot on. Joe, we got outbid on every single horse except for one. We bought a Not This Time colt on the first day. Again, Not This Time from tailor-made stallion. So again, shout out to them. But it was a hard place to buy a horse. I mean, there was a lot of competition, especially at that mid-range level. And I think you guys got a couple of really nice horses. 4 for sure, but 2 of them that I know about intimately because we were hot and heavy on those. And the other thing I want to mention, Joe, is that again with the tailor-made connection, First Crop sire Tacitus had a pair of New York Bred yearlings that each sold for over $200,000.
Yeah,
that's a great return on investment for that stud fee.
Yeah, no, we'll mention it in the tailor-made plug because we've talked about that before. Like what a well-bred stallion he is, and for $10,000 or whatever he's standing at, great deal. But yeah, shout out to everybody at Fasig. You get a little bit of a break now before. I mean, you got the digital sales coming up. You got a little bit of a break in terms of the physical sales until October. So if you can at all, kick your feet up for like a week or two. Do it. You guys did an unbelievable job up at Saratoga. Elsewhere on the racetrack last weekend, we had the Arlington Million card Saturday at Colonial Downs. It was delayed, or Sunday actually. It was delayed by weather, and it was delayed later in the day, I think, by some more weather. But they were able to get all the races off. Nation's Pride won the Arlington Million. A little disappointing that Integration ran second, but he's the kind of horse that when he runs second in a Grade 1, he gets 100 Beyer, it's a little disappointing. That's how good he is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would like to see him get a grade 1 eventually, and I think there is one with his name on it. So that was a good race. Moira won the Beverly D. To me, I think she is the top of the filly and mare turf division right now. I think it's kind of crying out for a leader, and I think she's that one for Kevin Attard. Trickery won the Secretariat with a 96 Beyer. So at least going a mile. Actually, he won the 1.25 mile Belmont Derby too. You know, not to slight Carson's run, but to me, that horse is the leader in the 3-year-old turf division. This was his 3rd straight graded stake win. So a very nice card. And I used to think like they should call these races something else since they're not Arlington anymore. But I've flipped on that. I think there needs to be a preservation of the history of Arlington and the Arlington Million card, even if the track itself isn't there. Those were really, really important races. I think the most important non-Breeders' Cup turf race in America, in American racing history, is the Arlington Million, and I'm glad that we're keeping up the tradition, at least, even if it's at a different track. Looking forward to this weekend. We've got the Alabama card coming up on Saturday at Saratoga. We're a little over a week away from the Travers Stakes. The Alabama got an 8-horse field, no superstars without Torpedo Anna in there, but it's competitive. It's a good betting race. A race before that is the Lake Placid, which is absolutely loaded. West Point has a very, very interesting runner in there. If you're looking for a tip, first-time U.S. horse named Lorray. We bought privately from France. Christophe Clement got her, and Christophe bought a horse that won a stake at Longchamp in June and now is in a graded stake 2 months later at Saratoga. That's typically not his MO. When you get those horses from overseas, they need to go through quarantine. They need to get used to their new surroundings, their new racetracks. Usually you give them several months to ramp up before you put them in a spot. It should tell you a lot that she's already in on Saturday for the Clement. So I think that she's pretty live, but it's a really nice field, which she feels pretty. A couple of really interesting Euros in there. John, you looked at the Alabama. Anything else from this weekend that sticks out to you?
Well, in the Alabama, you mentioned there's 8 horses and there are 8 fillies in there. Listen to the sire power, Joe. Gunrunner, Union Rags, Arrogate, Constitution, Justify, Candy Ride, Arrogate. I mean, arguably 7 out of the 8 are, the top stallions of the past couple of years. Arrogate, again, he's only had 3 crops, 2.5 crops, really, for in today's day and age. And he's got 2 horses in this grade 1 at Saratoga. So his legacy will continue on. I echo your sentiments about the turf racing over at Colonial. I think the reason why they were delayed on ultimately on that day had more to do with the signal issues that they were getting.
Right.
More so than the weather, but it was weather on all the other times. And we ran a horse in the last race. Horsepower ran second in an allowance race, the 12th race, and it was literally in the dark. It was like, back to days of the Meadowlands when we used to try to get races in the 10th race right before midnight. So it was really cool to see night racing. I think everyone in the parking lot had to turn their headlights on to make sure that everyone could be seen properly. Moira, $3 million purchase at the Night of the Stars, November of 23. And then they decided to bring the horse back to race. So again, another filly that, the powers that be, the owners did not have to run the horse again. She had done everything possible to pad her resume. And then, oh, by the way, this year they brought her back and she ran second in the grade 1 Diana, and then just won over her nemesis, Fev Rover, who I thought for a little while there, Fev was going to get the winning nod. Just ran out of gas at the very end. And to stay with Colonial, Joe, we talk about racetracks that are floundering or having problems or anything like that. Colonial Downs had the governor of Virginia at the races, and the governor announced that they are increasing the number of race dates going forward, at least in 2025, and that the Virginia Derby is being moved from the turf to the dirt and is being added to the Kentucky Derby point system. So not only are they moving it, but they got a serious leg up of importance. They are moving that race to the springtime. I know you have a curious look on your face. They're moving.
Yeah, I was like, isn't that race for 3-year-olds in September? Yeah,
it's going to be in the springtime. They haven't announced if it's going to be in March or April yet, but it is a points race, and they will be running at Colonial Downs next spring and summer. So get your calendars and travel arrangements taken care of now, because they're one of the few racetracks in the country that's adding dates. I think like them and Kentucky Downs, off the top of my head, are two of the ones that have been looking to add dates year in and year out. And their product there is just outstanding. The turf course, we've had horses there all summer long, and the turf course is pristine. They do a really nice job, and the purses are outstanding compared to a lot of the other racetracks outside of the major metropolitan areas like New York and California. So kudos to them. And other big racing weekend, Joe, the Woodbine up in Canada, our neighbors to the north, are going to offer the King's Plate, and there's half a dozen stake races that are going on, this Saturday, the 17th, up at Woodbine.
Rail Talk is sponsored by The Green Group, the number one tax/accounting firm in the horse business. Tomorrow's a big day for the patriarch of the Green family and the Green Group, Len Green. He'll be honored at the always fun and always uplifting racetrack chaplaincy brunch tomorrow at Saratoga National Golf Club. It's at 10 a.m. Very exciting. Very excited for Len, one of the most respected guys in the business. And our producer, Patty Wolfe, who is away in Norway, has chimed in with a congratulatory message for Len.
Hey guys, I'm in Bergen, Norway, but I wanted to call in to congratulate Len on being honored by the New York Racetrack Chaplaincy. Len, you deserve this honor and so much more for all you do for the industry, the horses, the people, and the great community that is the backstretch. Thank you so much, Len. You're Rail Talk family. We love you.
Thank you, Patty. And thank you, Len, for your support of the show and your support of Jon Green, who eventually became my friend, and then I made him cooler. So it's a really nice little integration of the Green and Bianca families. And by the way, the Green Group will handle all of your tax and accounting needs. They're the best in the business at what they do because Len has the experience of owning horses, owning champions, and making it easier for this to be a profitable business for everybody, from the top horse owners all the way down to everybody else, bettors, any kind of participant. Not that bettors are at the bottom, I would never say that, but any kind of participants in the racing game that want to make it more profitable and more feasible to stay in this business and do well at it. Len is your guy. Hit him up at greenco.com, or what's that number again, Michael?
73263455100. Green Group.
Never forget it now, thanks to our boy, Michael Agresta. So congratulations once again to Len, and go to greenco.com for all of your tax and accounting needs in the horse business. So there's nothing we love more on this podcast than a game or a contest or some kind of thing to break up the monotony of having to talk about the success of DJ Stable all the time, every day, on every single show. This was brought up, this was created out of thin air by our very talented associate producer, Julia Agresta. We're going to play the non-newlywed game, because if you're unfamiliar, I am getting married. I think if this show comes out on Wednesday the 14th, no pressure, Julia, we are exactly 1 month away from the Lions Bianca wedding. Yeah. And Jon, you're not a newlywed because you and Michelle have been together, God bless, how many years?
It's been in Roman numerals. It's XXXI. And I'm doing it in Roman numerals because that's how long we've been married. It seems like it's ancient history. It's been 31 years, which, in dog years is like 182 years, right, Julia?
Well, you're saying that, so you should be winning, right, then?
So, Julia, you can go over the rules real quick. And this is going to be part one. We're going to do this in two parts because there are a ton of questions, because Julia doesn't do anything halfway. Tell us a little bit about how the game's going to work for part one.
All right, you guys. So you guys are going to be swapping off who gets to choose your question and for how much.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to say we were going to be swapping off partners.
Okay, all right.
Anyway. Cease. You guys are going to decide who goes first through a very sudden death, rock, paper, scissors. We'll do that in a second. Here's how the board is going to work. Whoever asks the question gets an added bonus of 50 points if you get your question correct. If you get your question incorrect, nothing extra happens to you. Each box is worth a certain amount, as you can see. And if you get it incorrect, you lose that amount. So this is a betting game every time. Even though one person selects the question, both of you have a chance to answer. We're going to do, 10 to 15 today, see how you guys go. Then next week, you're going to get your unhinged board, and you'll find out what that means later. Thank you, ladies, for indulging me. I sent all these questions to your lovely ladies a few weeks ago. They begrudgingly answered all of them for me, so sorry. And you guys are going to see who is the winner. If you guys want a rematch in the future, we can use our remaining questions then. And whoever wins the game, which we'll find out next week, gets a lovely commission from me. Cartoon version of you and your lady as a horse and a jockey. You are so
very
welcome.
nice. Very nice. So Julia, give us an example. Let's say I pick ancient history for 100 and I get the question wrong, but Joe gets it right. What's the score at that point?
Well, Jon, according to math, you would have negative 100 and Joe would have 100.
Okay.
Wait, so how do I bet an extra 50?
Whoever's turn it is to pick the question. So, Joe, you could say, I'm going to go for facts of life for 500. If you get that correct, you're going to get 550 points.
And if I get it right, I get 500. Okay.
Correct.
Gotcha. All right. That sounds
Very
simple
good.
enough.
All right, we're ready.
You guys say simple,
right.
but I got to do the math.
Oh, the poor little associate producer. And incidentally, we're doing this show this week and next week because our intrepid producer Patricia Wolfe is nowhere to be seen. She's I don't know where she's somewhere.
She's in Norway.
Norway. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Santiago? For those of you who are old enough to remember that show,
Santiago.
But basically, we're the inmates are running the asylum this week.
Yes, exactly. And those are the best shows,
Absolutely.
honestly. The best and the worst at the same time.
Let's say worst, just to cover my butt.
Rock, paper, scissor, shoot. Yo, Jon saw me going for the scissor.
You were going.
He absolutely did. We'll do 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3.
Go ahead.
Rock, paper, scissor, shoot. Both paper.
I'm in your
Julia,
head.
I'm not making this up, right? He's like a half second behind me.
I'm in your head. I can't see.
Rock.
Wait, I won 2 out of 2.
No, that was a tie. That was both paper.
Oh, both paper. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissor, shoot. Okay. Oh, Jon could just have it. Again, like, he saw me going for a rock.
I feel like we should just get rid of the Jeopardy game and just watch you guys play rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, we'll just do a rock, paper, scissors contest because that's good. That's good for listening.
That's good TV, baby.
Now, should we do part of this game in Espanol? Because my understanding is that, Joe, we are getting desperately close to 10,000 subscribers, and that we've been picking up a lot of subscribers in Argentina, of all places, in the Southern Hemisphere. So if we can throw in every now and then a little bit of Espanol, I'm sure that our compatriots down in the land down under, that's Australia, but in the Southern Hemisphere would appreciate that.
You and your
Buenos
geography.
días a los argentinos.
Sí.
Felicidades sobre Copa America y World Cup victories.
Muy bien.
Don't forget to subscribe because we'll give our 10,000th subscriber DJ stable hat. How's that? Anyway,
suscribir to subscribe in Spanish.
All right, Julia.
Let's do facts of life for 200.
What is your partner's zodiac sign?
I know this one 100%.
Yep.
Libra.
Pisces.
Okay.
All right. We're on the board.
You guys are
on
the board. Congratulations.
Okay. Let's go with getting personal for 400.
This is the scariest category for
400. Okay.
What would you say? What would your partner say is your strangest habit? So what is my strangest habit? What does Michelle think my strangest habit is? I'm going to say it's my OCD about numbers.
me. Yeah, it's got to be like an OCD related thing. I chew on things sometimes. Like I'll chew on a shirt or chew on a towel. It's a nervous tick of mine. I'm going to say I chew on weird things.
Ooh.
The beard thing. I was going to say it.
I know that it's the beard.
That's tough. Yeah, Julia knows that firsthand from doing all the edits. So Michelle said eating in even number increments.
Yeah,
Wow.
My number, my OCD number.
I will
Wow.
take it. That is the numbers. I think.
And then for me, it's
correct.
obsessively manicuring my beard, which is definitely,
Yeah, I've had this thing where like if I eat French fries, I eat them in even numbers. If I have pasta, I have to it's got to be if there's an odd number, I just won't eat the last one, or I'll take one from Michelle. It's a really weird thing. I know. Usually I'm so normal, but that one is.
Yeah, exactly. This is such a departure for you. Yeah, I can't believe that was a fumble on my part for the beard thing. That was more obvious. All right, John's way ahead now.
I'm winning now. All right, cool.
Let's take ancient history for 300.
Ancient history, 300. Who made the first move?
I think it was Megan. I'm going to say her. Okay. John, what about you?
Me.
Ooh.
What? Wow. John's right again and I'm wrong? When did I make the first move?
Wow.
I could have sworn it was her because I remember like our first day out, like she was mad that I didn't kiss her.
Wow.
So I felt like she then took charge the next time around, but we'll discuss it. Wow.
I'm sure you.
This is going to be a tall order to come back from, John.
All right, I'll throw you a bone and go with the 500er then. Let's go with forever favorites for 500. A little alliteration there.
What is your partner's favorite thing about watching you on Rail Talk?
I would say just watching me laugh and have fun.
I'm going to say that this is a trick question for Megan because she doesn't watch the show.
She's not one of the subscribers? Not one of the 9,600 subscribers?
No, she's subscribed, but she doesn't watch the show.
Okay.
I don't really watch.
All right, you get that
finally
one.
Got one.
I feel like, yeah, come on. Like Megan, so Michelle says, seeing John's face and hearing his voice, which is very sweet. Megan says, I don't really watch, in parentheses, so embarrassing, but I like listening to everyone joking with each other before they start recording. I feel like I gotta get partial credit for that.
We'll give you the full. We'll give you the full.
I think you should get full.
We'll give you
got it.
John, honestly, I feel like that's pretty much, I'm going to say half credit for you.
All right, I'll get half credit. Okay.
Or at least you don't get it gone. It's not taken away from you.
You're the game master, so you can anything you want.
I am.
These are good questions, Julia.
Thank you. Just wait till Unhinged Jeopardy.
Yeah.
You're going to hate me.
I'll go getting personal for 300.
Ooh, what animated character was your partner's childhood crush?
That's a tough one.
Oh my God.
Wow. You got to be a real dork to have a crush on an animated character.
Completely disagree.
There's a whole industry.
Thankfully, all four of us are dorks is what I was about to say.
Industry on wanting to date, your animated crush.
I'll say Batman, like the cartoon Batman.
Is that your animated crush?
That's hers. Hers. Are we talking about me or her?
No, hers.
Yeah.
Hers.
So there we go.
I'm gonna say Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Oh boy, say goodbye to your points, boys.
Michelle says Aquaman. Megan says Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid. She has literally never said that to me.
I wouldn't know. I don't know the answer to that one at all, obviously.
This is well, I'm learning things. This is good.
Michelle's childhood crush is the least important super friend.
What does that say about you?
At least Prince Eric was a prince, for God's sake. In poor taste for 300.
What kind of jewelry is your partner least happy to receive?
I'll say earrings.
Okay.
Well, it definitely can't be a ring because she's still smitten with her ring. Got her a necklace, which she likes, so I hope it's not that. It's got to be earrings or like, let's say bracelet. I'll say bracelet. Toe ring.
Toe ring.
She set you up for failure there.
Yeah, anything big and flashy. Come on.
Well, I guess I got to make a big return. I got her the second engagement toe ring. So it's going back.
Very famous marital toe ring.
It's going back. And Michelle kind of screwed you too, John.
Yeah.
Just anything big and flashy.
You got
to be more specific than that.
That is her answer, but yeah, I get it. Julia, what for those people scoring at home? Where are we at? What's the tally?
Why would you do this to me on air? You did that on purpose. I'm going to take away points just for you being annoying.
Hey.
I am the master.
Just for being
minus $1 million for making Julia do math on the spot.
If I were to just look at it, it looks like John is in the lead.
Well, that's why
I think probably we're both in the negative at this point.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
If I wasn't winning, I wouldn't have asked.
700, 800. I think you're at 200, John.
Yeah, that sounds about right. All right,
and
Joe.
Joe, let's not discuss it.
Fuck off.
Oh.
Let's do like a 3 or 4 more. Let's go back to forever favorites for 400.
Forever favorites, 400. What's your partner's favorite flower?
That's a good one. She hates roses. Can I do least favorite flower?
No.
I'm going to say hydrangea, even though they haven't been growing for us this year.
I'm going to say lilies.
Hey!
Michelle said
You
hydrangea.
got it the wrong woman.
Damn it.
All right, I'll marry Michelle.
Boy.
Michelle says peonies or hydrangeas. Megan says tulips.
Tulips.
Which,
Oh,
again,
Joe,
Perhaps
just so you
we
know,
shouldn't air this anymore.
Michelle loves toe rings. So the more toe rings,
bring her bouquet of hydrangea and the toe ring.
the toe ring, right? Exactly. Oh man. All right. So I'll get one more, and then Joe, you get last licks. You get
Okay.
one more.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to go with facts of life for 500.
Oh, the big ticket items. What brand of shampoo and conditioner does your partner use? You see it every day.
I do see it every day, and I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! I know it's not Prel. I know what mine is. I don't know what hers is, of course.
You know, the hard part is like Meg has like this custom conditioner and shampoo. It's like one of one made
Okay.
specifically for her.
If it's a custom, I will take custom shampoo as the answer.
I'm going to go with custom.
Custom
Piggyback.
conditioner, curls, thingy, something.
Yeah, it is a
What we got?
Pros is specifically a custom, so I will give it to you.
all right.
Yeah.
John, you're
Joffrey.
just wrong.
I think that's wait. Michelle probably thought the question was, who would you like to shower with? And she said John.
Who's John Frieda?
I don't know. He's some guy who makes shampoo,
The
obviously.
shampoo man.
Shampoo guy who shampoos Michelle's hair every day, apparently.
Okay. And Meg says always different, but right now pros and native. And pros, as Julia confirmed. Is a customized shampoo.
All right,
It
major swing, major comeback on that, Joe.
Yep.
It was. Thank God.
God, those locks need special one-of-one attention. All right.
All right, last one.
Let's go ancient history for 400.
400. What pet name does your partner call you the most?
We don't really have pet names,
Yeah.
as far as I know. Let's say Boo. She
Okay.
calls me Boo from time to time.
Boo.
That's nice.
Sheesh.
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 Preach McGeesh?
Breach McGeesh. Cheesh McGeesh. Hey!
What a great
Finally.
question to finish on. We're both right.
Thank God.
Goodness.
Megan, Michelle says sheesh, and Meg goes boo. Although he calls me that more often, I don't really have one for him. You could have just said boo, Meg.
That's right. You had me at boo. You had me
You
at
had
boo.
me a boo.
Well,
Awesome.
thank
So
goodness we ended on a nice one.
both on the board to finish.
Ooh.
And
All right.
we'll give Julia about 72 hours to tally up the scores.
Right. And post it accordingly.
I'm right side of the brain. Leave me alone.
And then we'll pick this up and sometime before the wedding, I think, to do the rest of them and the unhinged questions, because that's what I'm looking forward to most.
Yes, have fun, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, Julia, thank you so much for producing this game. You are
well
your
done.
talents know no bounds.
Except for math.
Except for math, it's true.
Oh, well done. Thank you, Julia.
Well,
That was
thank
awesome.
you to Michelle and Megan. Could not have literally done it without you.
You know, John, I missed the Colbert Report. I don't know if you ever watched, but that was like my favorite show. And like he does the late night thing now, but that show was just it was just perfect and so many great clips. He had a great recurring segment because his whole thing, if you haven't seen it, was that he's like an egomaniac. He's like the parody of like an egomaniacal like right wing commentator, and he had a segment that would run every now and then. It was who's honoring me now. It would just pull up all sorts of like quotes or stories from out there in media land that made him that made him feel good and said nice things about him. So maybe we'll start doing that, because there are some people saying some nice things about Rail Talk, and God knows we love to pat ourselves on the back and each other on the back. John, your new buddy, your new best friend, Mike Rapoli, had some nice things to say. What did he say?
Well, Mike really did, and it was in direct response to to the comments, the conversation that you and I had about trying to bring people together and get this industry on the right track and move in the right direction. And Mike was kind enough to say in response to our tweet, "Thank you, Jon Green. I really enjoyed our conversation about the future generation of horse racing. I have so much respect, admiration, and affection for your dad and my friend, Len." Now, let's pause there. I took that a little bit initially as a slight, like, I have so much respect for your father. But, Mike is pretty straightforward. I'm sure if he was like, and I still think you're an asshole, he would say that. So we're going to say that it was just extraordinary that he was saying nice things. Okay, back to the really nice tweet. My ultimate goal is to reverse the negativity and decline in the thoroughbred industry. It starts, but definitely does not stop with aftercare. We have a lot of work to do, and proactive change is needed immediately. My vision is to have the industry and the sport growing and thriving by 2030 with millennials, Gen Z, and alphas enjoying it at the level that both you and I have for the past 40 years. Let's all rally together for the next generation and the future of this industry and this great sport. LFG. That was just a really nice one. Kim Valerio also had a really nice response to our tweet, and I respect Kim tremendously. She's also somebody who's been in the business for over 40 years and has a great finger on the pulse of what's going on. She said, "Keep up the good work and dialogue between us all, the good, the bad, and the ugly, in hopes we can turn this around." And I'll let you read the rest of it on Twitter. But Joe, we're getting some really nice responses, and I believe you had one as well.
Yeah, shout out to Joe Drape, who was one of our favorite guests, and now one of my favorite people in the industry. Not just because he said nice things about us, but just because after we got to know him, like a lot of people say a lot of things about Joe Drape, like he writes too many negative stories and blah blah blah. You talk to him, and it's very apparent right away he's a champion of horse racing. He wants to see the sport get better. When he writes about negative things, it's to spur action, which is what we try to do on this show. Like, we don't want to be negative all the time, but you got to report on this stuff if you want anybody to do anything about it. So shout out to Joe Drape, who said, hands down, this is the most provocative and thoughtful podcast and platform for making horse racing stronger and better. Week in and week out, a must listen. If I do say so myself, I agree. Thank you, Joe Drape, and thank you to every. Honestly, like, we are patting ourselves on the back, and it's a "Who's honoring us now" segment. But I do want to mention these things because if you haven't subscribed yet, and you want to push us over that 10,000 number, and you want to add to those views, these are some of the biggest movers and shakers in the industry. People that have racing's best interests at heart and wanted to see it survive for the long run. And they're tuning in and they're subscribing and they're making sure they're watching the show every single week. So thank you to them, and thank you to all the people who aren't big celebrities in racing. Everybody who makes this thing go, we appreciate you. And I think, Jon, I think the best thing is the show just gets better and better and better. And we have so many people to thank for that: the producers, the fans, the guests. But it's been a collaborative effort for sure, and it's really, really heartening to see it gaining so much steam.
It really is. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we do this, Joe. I always enjoy talking horses and talking about life with you, but it's genuine. We throw it out there, good, bad, or indifferent. We want to address how we can improve the sport. We've already seen some improvements in the sport that we've talked about. Ranging from HISA to additional requests for transparency with the stewards, to racetrack management, to the sales companies trying to be offer safer environments for everyone involved. I love the fact that this week we're able to run rogue because Patty's not here, so that's going to make this show even I think even better and more well received. We miss you, Patty, but not really that much. But overall,
take your time.
What's that?
Take your time in Norway.
Take your time in Norway.
Live it up.
You can swim back if you want. But it's been a labor of love, and I'm re-energized, Joe, about the way that the industry is moving and that we're trying to make things better, safer, more transparent for everyone involved, from the gamblers to the breeders to the racetracks and everything. Are we there yet? Hell no. We got a long way to go, but we were in the abyss pretty deep. And it's going to take us a while to get out of it, but we are definitely on the upswing. And I don't feel this. I didn't feel this enthusiasm 2-3 years ago when we were sitting there, and it really wasn't until a couple of the bad actors were ultimately found guilty of the things that they did, and then the advent of HISA, and I think at that point that was when the pendulum swung into the direction we're going. And now we are not there yet. We have a long way to go, but I'm really happy and excited for this industry, and I'm glad to be on this journey with you, buddy.
Same here. And I've said it before, but I keep going back to it. I felt it at the time, just in my bones, and I feel it now looking back 5+ years later. The indictments of Jason Service and Jorge Navarro, to me, were the turning point. Yep. That was where the industry finally said, holy cow, we got to get our shit together. And we, like you say, we still have a long way to go. But I do think that was the straw that broke the camel's back and made people realize we got to do something. Otherwise, we're not going to be here anymore. And we're doing a lot more than we used to in this business. And that's something to celebrate. So thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in, saying nice things about us. Even if you got criticism, we'll take that too, as long as it's constructive, or you want to make fun of Jon for not having as good of a beard as me. But on that note, I see you, buddy. I see you. Just a little bit of gray, the touch of gray. It's a gorgeous thing, man. So thank you for watching. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Appreciate Julia Agresta for putting on the Newlywed Game. And Patty's excellent job with that. So that's part 1. We're gonna do part 2 with the unhinged questions fairly soon in the next couple of weeks. So appreciate Julia for all the hard work she put into that. Thank you also to our associate producer Nathan Wilkinson, and we'll see you next week back here on Rail Talk.